wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic Podcast. This is Steve on my porch on a fine June evening, just before the solstice. Lightning bugs are out, frogs and insects are singing, and it's pretty quiet out here, except for the occasional neighbor on a four-wheeler without an exhaust on it. I actually have the house to myself for a day or two here, and it got me to thinking about routine, because when my family is gone, my routine can fail. And I, as a teacher, when I'm not teaching in the summer, my routines can fail. And I'm not even talking about philosophical Stoic routines. I'm just talking about the rhythm of life. I default to staying up too late, to sleeping in, to losing parts of the day. And even when my family is around, one of my defaults, which seems like a virtue, but I think it's a vice, is that I sit and think about things too much. And I think it actually leads to anxiety and in some cases depression. You know, thinking about what would a Stoic do, what would a Stoic do, what's the meaning of life, what happens when you die. You know, these things that there are no real concrete answers for, that humanity has been groping for answers for these questions for eternity. And it feels like you're going to reach some epiphany, but in reality you're thinking in circles. And you're using up time without getting anywhere. And so I think it's important to schedule time for these pursuits, but to have a normal rhythm in your day that you can stick to, that provides more meaning, more balance, more of that virtue or that discipline of action in our lives. I myself, like I said, I often... when I was younger, my father would accuse me of having my nose in a book too much or sitting around too much, and I needed to be more active. It's been a vice of mine. Having a wife and child has made me get up earlier than I used to, go to bed more at a normal hour than I used to, which has been good for me. And I'm trying to build into that a more Stoic routine, which I have not been great at. My fortitude is lacking. But I know in the summertime when I'm not teaching, I often sleep in way too late, lose part of the day, spend a good chunk of it in pursuits that maybe are not fruitful. Meanwhile, my wife is a much better natural Stoic than me. She knows her tasks that she wants to accomplish, and they may be feeding the child or making lunch or doing chores around the house, and she does them like clockwork. Meanwhile, I have to be reminded sometimes, and I have to... see the house deteriorating into chaos before I start picking things up. And I'm just not as good at that routine. And it's something I know I need to work on. And so I thought this week we would listen to a reading from Seneca. What I'm going to do is just read a bit directly from Seneca and then give you my paraphrase from my own journal notes from the reading. So this week we are going to go to Moral Letters to Lucilius, number 121. On darkness as a veil for wickedness. The day has already begun to lessen. It has shrunk considerably, but yet will still allow a goodly space of time if one rises, so to speak, with the day itself. We are more industrious, and we are better men if we anticipate the day and welcome the dawn. But we are base churls if we lie dozing when the sun is high in the heavens, or if we wake up only when noon arrives, and even then, to many it seems not yet dawn. Some have reversed the functions of light and darkness. They open eyes sodden with yesterday's debauch only at the approach of night. It is just like the condition of those peoples whom, according to Virgil, nature has hidden away and placed in an abode directly opposite to our own. When in our face the dawn with panting steeds breathes down, for them the ruddy evening kindles her late-lit fires. It is not the country of these men so much as it is their life that is directly opposite to our own. Now, going to my paraphrase of this, as I scroll on my phone in a most unsophisticated manner. Here's my summary here. Evening is coming, but there is still time left if one has been at it all day. We are more industrious if we anticipate the day and welcome the dawn. But it is a vice to lay in bed until noon. These men are essentially buried alive, feasting and carrying on in the dark. They are not banqueting, but conducting their own funeral services. But at least the dead have their banquets in the day. The day is not long for a person who is active. So lengthen your life. Arise early. The duty and proof of life consists in action. Use the early morning and evening hours for some of the day's business. Inactivity and night life leads men to resemble anemic invalids. They are already carrion. This all arises because they rebel against nature, such as men who want to look boyish for other men, as men who try to save their youth as they age, men who want to grow flowers in winter. When men desire things in opposition to nature, they soon abandon their ways and nature altogether. It's daytime, time to sleep. The dawn approaches. Oh, it's dinner time. It's low and mean to live in the usual way. Let us have a morning that is peculiar to ourselves. These men are as good as dead. The method of obtaining righteousness is simple. Of maintaining wickedness is complicated. These men revolt from normal existence, just as some dress different to set themselves apart, or have elaborate dinners, or elegant carriages, or the way they divide their day. They are not willing to be wicked in the normal way. What they seek is notoriety. So let us keep to the way that nature has mapped. For if we follow nature, all is easy. If we fight nature, it is like rowing upstream. And then my thoughts on this that I wrote in my journal in 2017. Remember to be humble, to try to stick to good habits, of rising early and making good use of the day. To do this, I must stick to a schedule. This enforces temperance on many levels. I cannot overdrink or stay up late if I am to rise early. And try not to show off to others, in life or online. Don't be too unusual unless it is to be good, while all else is wicked. So my thoughts to myself there in this little writing was, good, healthy, simple habits are best. Rise early. Make good use of the day. Stick to the schedule. Use early morning as the time to reflect on the meaning of life. Use late evening as a time to reflect on the day. Use the day to accomplish works of good. And if you have this schedule, it's going to enforce temperance. You're not going to stay up late partying or watching Netflix if you know you have to get up at 5:30. And likewise, try not to show off to others, being blingy or having a fancy car or showing off online by showing how perfect your life is with pictures and inspiring quotes that you yourself don't live up to. And my last thought to myself here was, don't be unusual. Don't be like completely different than everyone else unless it is to be good while everyone else is wicked. If that sets you apart, then so be it. That's fine. But a lot of us try to stand out by how much we spend on our jewelry or our cars or our clothing. And we should aim to be useful and good, not to be completely different. We still should be the purple line in the cloth, as Epictetus says, the purple stripe, but in our character, not in our possessions and in the lies we tell others. So, what else can we take from this? I think it's just to set a good, solid routine and to live it. We know it's good for us to get up at the same time, weekdays and weekends, to have goals in the morning, to get up and have a plan. To not have a plan is to try to navigate without a map. It doesn't have to map out every second of the day, but to have your goals in mind and then live up to them. If you do this day after day, you have your daily goals, but you can also have your far-reaching goals. I like to think of some of these Stoic ideals when you map out your values in life as a lighthouse far out on the distant horizon. Your daily routine is the daily work on the ship. It's the swabbing the decks, the mending of the sails, the feeding of the crew. That's the daily activity, but that daily activity might seem boring, but it gets you closer to that distant goal, that distant lighthouse miles away on the horizon that you're slowly approaching. If you're staying up too late, drinking, wasting time, seeking pursuits that are not navigating your ship in the right direction, that lighthouse stays on the horizon and never gets any closer. I just recently completed the Stoic mindfulness and resilience training for the second time that Donald Robertson and others put together. It was very good, and part of it that I really like is the mapping out of your values, and then trying to figure out if you're living up to those values or if you're moving away from those values. And I think those values are the lighthouse in the distance, but also have your daily routine and your daily values. Being a good parent, being a good husband or wife, or being a good teacher in my case, and doing that day in and day out as well as you can. And those daily routines get you closer to those more distant and lofty goals. So that's my thought this week. Before I go, if you would humor me, I just wanted to share with you something that I came across recently. My grandfather, who was of Czech descent, he didn't speak English till kindergarten, and he was of the Catholic faith, but he really admired Native Americans, and he had a favorite prayer. And I found that prayer again recently, and I thought it was interesting how there's bits of Stoicism in it. So I want to share it with you. It's called the Great Spirit Prayer, which I really like. I found another translation where the Great Spirit is also known as the Great Mystery. And that's kind of my how I like to think of things in a way. So kind of ties into the Stoic concept of the universe. But the Great Spirit Prayer, and you can find this online. O Great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the wind, whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me, I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty, and make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things you have made, and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise, so that I may understand the things you have taught my people. Help me to remain calm and strong in the face of all that comes towards me. Let me learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. Help me to seek pure thoughts and act with the intention of helping others. Help me to find compassion without empathy overwhelming me. I seek strength not to be greater than my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes. So when life fades, as with the fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame. And the version I found said, translated by Chief Yellow Lark. So I thought there was some good wisdom in there, something that I find value in. And part of Stoicism is overcoming our greatest enemy, ourself. Not to be better than our neighbor, but to overcome ourselves. And that's something we need to work on every day. And without good routine, we cannot hope to accomplish that. So, seize the day, good luck, and carpe diem.
We're not too far away if it doesn't work.
Bye.